Okay, so before starting our chapter number 4, communication, I want to ask you that why do we need communication and what's the need of effective communication?
It helps us to convey what we are thinking now.
Okay, and more?
Exchange of information.
Yes. Anybody else?
I think it should give some meaning to the person who is being conveyed now. It should make some sense what we are communicating. That would be an effective communication.
Okay. Is my voice clearly audible? Or is
Yes,
it
yes.
okay? Okay. So as you know that human beings are social animals. So communication, we build relationships in our lives and in our day-to-day life. Without relationships, without interactions, without interacting with others, we cannot survive. So that's why we need communication. Let's start now. These are the chapters that we will cover. Chapter 1 is, in this we will we will study introduction, characteristics. Just a second. Introduction, characteristic of communication, functions, objectives of communication. In chapter 2, we will study about types of communication, like different types like formal, informal, oral, written, and interpersonal, intrapersonal, all these types in chapter 2. In chapter 3, effective communication. And chapter 4, barriers of effective communication. What are the barriers? These can be mechanical barriers, psychological barriers, and noise, and all these barriers in this chapter. And in chapter 5, mass media. And then we will, at the end, we will do some practice question. So, chapter number 1, introduction. In before Even before the word communication was discovered, communication was already there. It means that this word was discovered by is derived from the Latin word communis and communicare, and French word communication. So these are the words, Latin words communis and or communicare, and old French word communication. And what's the meaning of these words? Is to share. Communication means exchanging ideas with someone. Like, in simple words, in as you also told that in simple words, in if we try to understand what communication is, that we are just sharing whatever we have inside us, within us, our thoughts, feelings, emotions, ideas. We are sharing with someone. Communication can take place through verbal or non-verbal medium. Now you can also use gestures, some kind of symbol, or anything. It is not necessary that communication just need to be verbal always. It can be verbal as well as non-verbal. And in simple words, communication is the interaction between a sender and a receiver. So in the process of communication, there is always a sender and a receiver. Sender who sends the message, and then the receiver who receives message from the sender. This is the interaction between these two. And in the process of communication involves sender, message, medium, channel, receiver, response, and feedback. All of these are integral part of communication. So later also we will study about the process of communication. All these are involved in the process of communication. Sender who sends the message, message is the main content, and medium and channel through which the message is delivered, and receiver one who receives the message, and then the receiver gives a response and gives the feedback. So feedback is the last final step, and without feedback there can't be communication. So in the next slide, these are some of the definitions of communication that are given. Communication is essentially the ability of one person to make contact with another and make himself or herself understood. So in communication, one person is making contact with another person to share his or her thoughts. Communication is an exchange of, this definition was given by John Adair. Communication is an exchange of ideas, facts, opinions, or emotions of two or more persons, by William Newman and Charles Summer. So you don't need to remember that this definition was given by this person, but at least you should know the definition. You should understand the meaning of what's given in these definitions. Communication means the imparting, conveying, or exchange of ideas, knowledge, whether by speech, writing, or signs. So these are it can be whether orally speech, or by writing, or by using signs or symbols, gestures. Communication is transferring or conveying of meaning. So it's about getting across what we want to say in a way that others can understand and interpret it in a correct manner. So these are the definitions. Anybody have any problem in these?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Next point is, it is a kind of social interaction where at least two interacting agents. So there should be at least two. There can be more than two, but at least two interacting agents share their views, feelings, and thoughts within the framework of a common setup. So there should be a common setup. For example, we are in an online meeting. So in this also you join the same link. We are in a common setup. Or if you are in a physical offline meet, then also you share a common space. Then you communicate. Next is, in communication process, the sender, the one who encodes the message. We will see what encoding is later. The sender encodes the message, and then using a medium or a channel. And now here you might be wondering that are these the same thing or different? So medium is a method or a way through which message is transmitted. Like it can be through speaking, through writing. It means which form of communication we are using. And in channel, it is a specific pathway through which message travels from sender to receiver and from receiver to sender. Like the channel that we are using right now is online channel, through online channel, through Google Meet. So this is the channel, sends it to the receiver who decodes the message. So the sender encodes the message and receiver decodes that message sent by sender. After processing the information, the receiver sends back appropriate feedback. reply using a medium or channel. So again, the receiver sends the message through medium or channel. It is important to mention that effective communication always includes feedback. So feedback is very important part of the communication process, and without the feedback, you cannot say that the communication is complete. For example, if right now I am communicating with you, and if I'm not getting any response, any feedback from you, then there is no, that's not an effective communication. So feedback is a must. As you can see in the picture, the sender encodes the message. Encoding means that whatever in your mind, your thoughts, ideas, you put those thoughts into words so that someone can understand. Now, those can be words, either verbally you can share them, or you can through gesture or anything, but you put your message into words, your thoughts into words. Then the message is sent to the receiver, then receiver decodes it. Means the receiver understands the message that is received by him, and he figures out what it means, and he analyzes the message, and then he gives the feedback. For that feedback he need to encode. Then there is again encoding. After encoding, he sends the feedback message, and then sender the receives the feedback, and then he decodes it. Clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Here, this is the same process. Sender encodes, sender encodes, and then message is being sent through channel. Receiver receives it and decodes the message, and then gives the feedback through the channel, and then the sender receives it. Now here, as you can see, a word context. So who will give me example of context, or tell me what context means? What role
I think
Context
context
is
subject
plays?
matter,
Yes.
the subject matter of discussion here.
The purpose for which we are communicating, ma'am.
Okay, or anybody else want to tell?
Ma'am, I can give this class example. Means we teacher and we are the students are we both are communicating for the studying of NET syllabus. So NET syllabus is here the subject, or we can say context.
Are you talking about content? Content and context are different things. Okay, wait,
Okay.
I will give you an example. Like, have you seen the PK movie?
Yes, ma'am.
There you see that the Amir Khan, he says acha, but it means that there are different same word, but used in different context. So context, it includes various factors, like there is a message. If your friend is asking, but you are at your home, and your friend is asking, your friend is calling you, and he's asking, he or she is asking that come outside, and then it will mean something different. Maybe he or she is trying, he she is asking you to come outside to walk. Or if you are in the office, and then your friend asks you to come outside, then it means that he or she is asking you to go home together. So it includes various factors, like who, where the the place of the communication, where the communication is taking place, the location, and when is it happening. If the if the time is different, if it is night or it's daytime, then the context will be different. And it also depends on the relationship between the participants. For example, if your boss or your friend, both of these, you have different relationship with these two people, and both of them, if they say something, then it will have different context. Basically, context influence the meaning and how you interpret a message, how you take that message. Okay.
Ma'am, can you say means what is same, but we are perceiving in different way in different places?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, before moving to the features of communication, what what do you think that what makes communication effective? What points you will include in your while communicating to someone to make it effective?
Ma'am, when we are making communication means if we are sharing any information or any message, so it should be reached at our destination point. Means again it will back by the feedback. Then we can say it is the effective communication.
Right. Okay, let's see. In features of communication, first given is communication is an unavoidable system. Means you cannot avoid communication. You cannot even, can you spend a day without communicating? We cannot do this. It's an unavoidable system. You cannot avoid communication. It is a two-way process, as there is sender and receiver. So it is a two-way process. One sends message, other receives it, then other again sends the message. So it is a two-way process between the two, at least two people. It is a social activity. A society or our social life cannot exist if there is no communication. It is a continuous process. Every time communication is happening, like when the sender sends the message, receiver receives it, then sender again sends the feedback, and then the receiver sends the feedback, then sender receives it, then again the process is going on. So it is a continuous process, always happening. It is universal. No matter who you are, where you are, whether child or an old person, or rich or poor, or whether you are in India or you are in Switzerland, or wherever you are, whatever your culture is, communication is universal process. It's always there. It may be formal or informal. You may talk formally, like with your in office or at job, we talk formally, and or it can be informal, like with friends and family. So these are the features of communication. Next are characteristics. So that you are telling that point, that is in characteristics. Communication is continuous, the same thing. It is always happening, going on. Communication is all pervasive. So it's everywhere, in every aspect of our life. Without communication, we cannot do anything. We cannot build relationships, and without relationship we cannot, it's like we cannot survive without communication. effective communication is a two-way process. Same point. Communication is always with a context and a relationship aspect. So there is always a context in the communication, and that context will depend on different factors like location, relationship with the person who are talking, who are communicating, and the time, all these things. Communication can also be conducted through gestures. So that's, it's not only oral or written, it can be done through gestures. Example given, both in terms of what you say and how you say the matter, same message can be communicated authoritatively or politely. For example, while asking for a glass of water, one can say, here the context thing will be more clear. Please bring me a glass of water. So first one, this example is more of polite and informal way. And then give me a glass of water. This seems to be more type of commanding. And if you use this with a stranger, then it will sound little rude. And but if you use the same sentence with your friend or someone, your younger brother, sister, then it will sound okay. That's not that, it will not sound rude. So it has different context. Can I have a glass of water? This also sounds polite and more of formal way. Could you please give me a glass of water? So this is more polite. Each message will have a different effect on the person you are talking to. Is this clear to you till now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Next is communication exchanges are based on mutual understanding. So both the person, means this, both the sender and receiver who are involved in the communication, they share the mutual understanding. The receiver knows that what's the meaning behind the message that the sender is sending. Both of them understand each other. Common language. So for communication, there should be common language so that they can understand each other. Direct and indirect communication. So communication can be direct, like directly you are saying something to someone. You are in direct communication, there is open communication without any hidden message, and it's clear. Like you need if I need something help from you, then I'll say I need your help with this task and this thing. And in indirect communication, if we take example, like you are not directly saying this thing, that I'm not directly asking you for help, but I'm doing some sort of gesture, or I'm making such expression that you will come to know that I need this thing. Or other example for this could be when a child is hungry, then then he do not directly ask from mother because he do not know how to talk and how to speak. But child starts crying, so he indirectly telling his mother, asking his mother to give him food. The message must have substance. So message must have some content, some meaningful content into it. Like we are in the class for preparing for UGC NET exam, and here we are studying communication. We have content, we have the substance in our communication message. Use of words as well as symbols. Words as well as symbols, both. Then next are function and objectives of communication. Communication helps in the flow of knowledge from one person to another through the process of sending a message and receiving response. It is essential for, so it is the flow of knowledge. It helps in flow of knowledge. We can share, one person can share knowledge to others through communication. It is essential for learning, training, and skill development. For all these things, learning, training, we need communication. And this is the function of communication. Next is it helps in communicating the goals, targets, so that they can be achieved effectively. Without communication, like in an office, if we see, the leader shares that what are the targets and goals, and then all the workers in the company, they achieve it. So it's all through communication. Due to communication, the response, which is vital part of communication process, shows whether the conveyed message is understood properly or not. So once you get the feedback, once you get the response, you know that the receiver has received the message properly or not. And that's the thing about effective communication. Next point is it helps in understanding emotions, hopes, desires, feelings, and expectation of other person. Whatever people have in their mind, they can share through communication. It can also be used for motivation. So for motivating someone, we communication helps in this. Communication does do motivate through communication. It is crucial for preserving culture and passing on its values from one generation to another. So communication, this is the function of communication, preserving culture and passing on its value from one generation to another. So if we see our history also, then our culture is preserved through, because generation to generation values have been passed. So in this way, communication plays a role here. It can improve or deteriorate a situation. So this is the power of communication, that either it can improve or deteriorate a situation. So it is important for us that we should know how to communicate effectively. The consequences depend upon how the message is interpreted. Is this clear till now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then macro function of communication. First is emotive function. Emotive function, what you understand from emotive, this word emotive?
Expressing emotions.
Yes. So we can use communication for expressive of emotions, like, oh my God, yippee, when you are excited. So these types of words, these come in. These are the examples of emotive function. And then directive function. What does this word mean, directive?
Giving directions to do something.
Yes, yes. Instructing something, giving directions, like give me a glass of water. So this is also the function of communication. And fatigue function. Anybody knows about fatigue word? Okay, so
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
okay, no problem. Fatigue means when you are not actually providing any significant content or knowledge. It's just for when you are just introducing or building a relationship with someone, like you're saying hello, hi, namaste, all these words, these come in fatigue function. There is no information in this, you're not sharing any information. Then poetic function, can you give me, as you can see here, the example Ashoka the Great, can you give me more examples of poetic function, of more examples of poetry? Like anything which is said more in aesthetic way. That comes in poetry, poetic function. Okay, we all know, we all have read, listen poetry somewhere. So you can relate with this.
Ma'am,
Referential. Huh? Yes.
Ma'am, Kabir Das, Surdas,
Yes, right.
they conveyed poetically, no, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah, if anybody want to share any few
Ma'am,
lines, yeah.
is it like exaggerating something, ma'am?
What?
Like, is it exaggerating something which is we are making it more valuable, like something exaggerating?
No, yeah, exact, what, sorry, what are you saying?
Exaggeration, ma'am.
Okay, I'm right now, I don't know, I'm not able to pronounce it, but they are not exaggerate. Sorry, but they are not doing it. It means they are making it more look beautiful, aesthetic. This is what happens in poetry. Yeah,
Ma'am, something like Shero Shairi. Shero Shairi.
yes, true. That's poet in poetic function. That's poetry.
means one his or her feelings expression in the way of poetic. That is called poetic function.
Yes, right.
Okay.
Yes. Next is referential function. In a referential function, as in the phatic function, you are just introducing yourself, hi, hello. And then in referential function, you are any message that is constructed to convey information. In this function, in referential, you are conveying information. There is some content. Then in contextual function, in contextual function, as we already discussed about context, so in contextual function, like tone matters and all other things, like with whom you are with whom you are communicating, all these things, these come in contextual function. And heuristic function, anybody who will explain heuristic function?
No idea, ma'am.
Okay, no problem. It's like when you were a child and we used to play a game, building a, for example, there is a child and there are blocks. He has some blocks and he has to build a tall tower with those blocks, but he do not know how to do this. So what the child will do, he will try to, he will pick up different blocks and then try to put them, or try to make a building out of it, or he will ask from someone that how to do this, or he will try it on his own, and then he will find the best way. Then he will find that, oh, this thing is done in this way. So in, it means he will explore things for building that tower. So in heuristic, we explore our environment. So this is what heuristic means. Am I clear, or did you
Yes, ma'am.
understand it?
No, ma'am. Can you explain it another way?
It means to understand something, you are trying to explore more and more things. You do not know something and then you want to learn it, then you're trying to explore about it. You are learning from different things.
Can
But
we say
here,
as trial and error?
What?
Can we say it as trial and error?
Trial or error? Yes, I think it
ma'am, I
can
was
be.
wondering. Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
I was wondering when we are doing it by ourselves, there is no other person involved. How can this become a communication, ma'am? I didn't understand.
Means in for learning, simply you just understand that for learning, heuristic
Like
learning,
understanding something through
communication is
gestures. Ma'am, understanding something through gestures is also come to this one. Gestures.
it can.
Is
Yes,
it
you can.
asking questions to understand more about subject like that?
Yes, this can also come under this heuristic. Okay, we'll learn more about this heuristic function. You all try to read something about this, okay? Then we will discuss later. Then next is meta-linguistic function. Meta-linguistic function means that when you are telling to something like you are talking with someone, and then that person do not know the meaning of something, like you are saying to a child that score high, you are playing with the child, and then you are saying that score high, and then that child doesn't know the meaning of score, then you are explaining the meaning what score means. So in this meta linguistic, we talk about language itself while we are using that language. Okay.
But here, ma'am, written code of language means meta
Code of
language
language means that what
means
that
here.
word means.
Okay, okay. Means, ma'am,
Yes.
can we take example? If in a cricket or any, yes, you can take cricket. Batsmen are doing some rounds. Means here umpire is giving umpire is showing umpire is expressing the code how he got the run. Can we take that example?
Can you please repeat it?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I am saying about means when cricket is going on, and at that time, umpire is suppose batsman is doing run or by doing run means hitting 4 or 6. After that, umpire giving some symbols. Symbols means umpire's not direct saying means you are doing 4 runs only. He's showing some symbols. Can you take that example?
No, that's not the example of metalinguistic. In metalinguistic, like you are talking in a language, and then when some you are explaining the meaning of that language, particular word from that language. This is the
Okay,
thing.
means
Yes.
code is there, but we have to express it from the code to language.
Not code. You can say that meaning of language here, meaning of the words, words of meaning of the words, meaning of
Okay,
language.
okay, ma'am. Okay.
Yes. Then these are some more functions of communication. Deno- Please tell me about denotation, connotation. Anybody? Okay, no problem. I'll tell. Denotation means the dictionary definition of something. For example, there is a dog. Then what will be the how will dictionary define that animal, that dog? An animal with four legs, one tail, two eyes, all these things. Domestic animal, all these things. Carnivorous. So this will be the dictionary definition of that. And we call that denotation of dog. And in connotation, if we take the same example, in connotation, we see what you have experienced regarding that animal, what experience you have related to that animal, to the dog. Like if you if any dog has bite you in your past, then you will say that dogs are bad animal, and you will feel fear. But if you have good relationship in the past with dogs, then you will say that dog is a good animal. They are good companions, and they are loyal, all these things you will say. So based on your past experience, your personal experience, or it can also depend on some culture thing. If a culture thinks that dogs are good, or some culture think that dogs are not good. So this is the thing that in denotation, it means the literal meaning of a word, the dictionary definition. For example, snake. You will discover that one of its denotative meaning is scaly, legless, sometimes venomous reptiles, having a long, tapering, cylindrical body and found in most tropical and temperate region. So this is the dictionary definition of a snake. Now, when you include your own emotions related to snake, the other hand refers to association that are connected to a certain word or emotional suggestions related to that word. Example, snake connotation is evil, danger. So is this denotation and connotation clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Can anybody give me more example of denotation and connotation on from whatever in your mind right now?
Example, birds, ma'am. You can say whatever dictionary meaning, birds are two-winged creatures, they fly. Connotation, if I like birds, I will say they are beautiful and I would like to watch birds. I will add something positive and beautiful to it. And if I have fear, I will add, like, for example, I'm talking about eagle, I will say, um, I'm very afraid of eagle and they might attack me sometime, like that. So I add my own meaning to it now.
Very good. Okay. So next, then simile and metaphor. Have you heard about these simile and metaphor?
Metaphor, I know, ma'am, but simile, I don't know.
Whatever you know, you can share.
Ma'am, metaphor, I know from the higher education we learn meta university means means free physical boundaries. Meta university, I learned from that only, so I don't know anymore.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So in simile and metaphor, these both are used as comparison between two dissimilar objects. Remember this? Both simile and metaphor, these are used for comparison between two dissimilar objects. Both of these. Now, what's the difference? Same is in this compares two dissimilar objects. Now, what's the difference between simile and metaphor? In simile, we use words like as, like, that. And in metaphor, we do not use without using word like as or like. We do not use any word pairing them. And now, can you tell me examples of simile and simile first?
Ma'am, actually your voice is breaking. I could not get it properly. And your screen is not
Wait.
visible to me.
Now you're back now.
Okay, is my screen visible now?
Yeah, looks like you have some net issue, ma'am. Now you are back.
Okay. So do I need to explain simile and metaphor again?
For me, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Simile and metaphor, both of these are comparison between two dissimilar objects. Both simile and metaphor. These compares two dissimilar objects. And the difference between simile and metaphor is that in simile we use words like as or like to connect them. And in metaphor, we do not use words like without using word like as or like. As you can see in the example simile, if you say my boyfriend is like a telephone in the house, here you're using is like, you're connecting two similar objects using the word like. Then you are comparing your boyfriend with a telephone. And in this, if you write my boyfriend is an angel or motorcycle is a bone on wheels,
Ma'am, your voice is
is it,
cracking.
give me a minute.
Ma'am, your voice is cracking.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, for simile, ma'am, am I audible?
Connect. Yes, yes.
Ma'am, for simile, for example, if I say she's as busy as B, then for metaphor, how I will say?
Okay, I will give example of this metaphor. Like, first we see the example given here. My boyfriend is like a typhoon in the house. And in metaphor, the example given is my boyfriend is an angel. So we are using uh, like in simile, the word like as in simile, and in metaphor, we are not using any such word. So give me first more examples of simile.
Okay, ma'am. I can share. My brother can talk with me always like a rebel. Uh,
Very good.
this is the example of simile. And if we can talk metaphor, he's always angry or he's a rebel person like
Okay.
this.
Yes, yes, that's right. Or other examples.
A simile can be like her smile is like a flower. We can say simile.
Very
And
good.
for metaphor, we can say life is a journey.
Yes, right. Life is a journey. In this, we are not using any word like for any word for comparing, for connecting these two dissimilar objects. Right. And also for simile, we can take other examples like the runner runs like a cheetah, or for metaphor, we can compare someone's voice or someone's eyes or any feature with something any different. Like, here is an example: her eyes were full of sadness. So this is example of metaphor. So are these clear to you, simile and metaphor?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then this is the last topic that we will do today: process of communication. So I have explained it earlier also about the process of communication. Will you tell me about all these, about this whole process of communication? Who will explain?
Yes, ma'am. For sender, if he or she wants to express something, first he or she should decode the data. Yes,
Encode.
Decode or encode?
encode,
Yes.
encode the content or data, anything what she or he wants to give. Then he should use any medium to pass through the pass. He should want any medium which will help to pass this message from sender to receiver. Then receiver receive the message. Then receiver start decode the message what he received. Then after he or she will encode that. Then after he will give to he will give message so first our sender received the message and response, then after encode, then after decode, then after by the media he or she should send that message.
Yes. The feedback again goes back to sender.
Yes, ma'am. Feedback.
Okay. So who is the sender?
Who sent the message first?
Yes, the sender or the communicator is the person who initiates the conversation and has conceptualized the idea that he intends to convey it to others. Encoding, what is the process of encoding? What is encoding?
Means what she or he wants to express something first, he or she should arrange it. That is the
Hmm.
encode, I think.
Right. They arrange or they arrange their thoughts into words or the message they want to the sender want to convey. Sender begins with the encoding process wherein he uses certain words. In encoding, the sender can use certain words. It can be verbal, through verbal method or non-verbal method like symbol, signs, body gestures, etc. to translate the information into a message. So, in the process of encoding, whatever information the sender has, the sender translates that information into message. He gives it the form of message. This is the process of encoding. The sender's knowledge here, what creates impact? The sender's knowledge, skill, perception, background, competencies, etc. has a great impact on success of the message. So how well the message is delivered, how well the message is sent depends on sender's knowledge, skill, perception, background, all these things. Then the next step is message. Once the encoding is finished, message is the main content that sender has to share. Once the encoding is finished, after sending message, this step comes is finished, the sender gets the message that he intends to convey. Now the message can be either it can be written or oral, it can be in any symbol form, it can be non-verbal such as body gestures, or it can be silence. You are not saying anything, that is also a form of message. Size, sounds, etc. Or any other signal that triggers the response of a receiver. So it could be anything, message can be anything to which the receiver is responding. Message is the main subject of the communication. Then, what is communication channel? Anybody?
It can be a WhatsApp message, ma'am, Facebook or phone call.
Hmm. Yes, that is more of medium, and channel it can be oral, written. Yes, it can be also. You are saying that online channel. The sender chooses the sender chooses the medium through which he wants to convey his message to the recipient. It must be selected carefully in order to make the message effective and correctly interpreted by the recipient. So the channel should be selected carefully for making communication more effective. The choice of medium depends on the interpersonal relationship between the sender and the receiver, and also the urgency of the message being sent. So how urgent is it to it is to send that message, and to whom you are sending? This impacts the channel that we are using. Oral, virtual, written, sound, gesture, etc. These are the commonly used communication mediums. Receiver will tell.
Ma'am, are you asking about receiver?
Yes.
Ma'am, a receiver is the person who receives the message or information from the sender.
Encodes or decodes?
Ma'am, your
First.
voice is breaking, ma'am.
What, ma'am, you are asking? Yes, your voice is breaking.
That tomorrow.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.